What if every hour you spend practicing something is physically sculpting your brain, not metaphorically, not motivationally, but literally, structurally changing its shape? You've heard of the 10,000-hour rule, the idea that mastery requires 10,000 hours of practice. But here's what nobody tells you. The rule isn't about time. It's about what that time does inside your skull. Today we're going deep into the neuroscience, the controversies, and the question that actually matters. Does practice really change your brain? And if so, how? In 2008, Malcolm Gladwell published Outliers and introduced the 10,000-hour rule, the idea that mastery in any field requires roughly 10,000 hours of practice, based on psychologist Anders Ericsson's research on elite violinists. But here's where most people get it completely wrong. Ericsson never said 10,000 hours of any practice. He said 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, focused, uncomfortable, feedback-driven repetition that constantly pushes you beyond your current ability. Mindlessly strumming a guitar for 10,000 hours won't make you Jimi Hendrix. But structured, intentional practice, your brain knows the difference and responds completely differently. This is where neuroplasticity comes in, the engine behind everything. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself, forming new neural connections, strengthening existing ones, and pruning away pathways you no longer use. For centuries, scientists believed the adult brain was fixed and unchangeable after a certain age. That idea is now completely dead. Your brain is not a machine. It's a living, constantly adapting organ, and every skill you practice, every habit you build, leaves a physical mark on it. When you first learn something new, your neurons fire weakly and slowly. The signal is messy. You struggle. That's completely normal. But every repetition triggers something remarkable. A fatty substance, called myelin, wraps around your neural pathways, like insulation around an electrical wire. More myelin means faster signals, smoother performance, and deeper automation. Neurologist George Bartzokis called myelin the secret behind all human skill. But practice triggers three other massive brain changes beyond myelin. 1. Synaptic strengthening. Connections between neurons become thicker and more efficient. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Repeat a skill enough, and those neurons become permanently bonded. 2. Cortical remapping. The brain area dedicated to your skill physically expands. Violin players have a larger brain region controlling their left-hand fingers. The brain reassigns real estate to what you practice most. 3. Structural gray matter changes. Musicians, chess grandmasters, and London taxi drivers all show measurable brain structure differences compared to non-practitioners. Cab drivers, who memorize thousands of streets, have a significantly larger hippocampus, the region handling spatial navigation. Practice doesn't just improve your skill, it rebuilds the hardware itself. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, because the 10,000-hour rule has been seriously challenged. A major 2014 meta-analysis examined 88 studies on deliberate practice. The finding? Practice accounted for only 12% of performance differences in sports, 21% in music, and just 4% in education. Genetics matter. Starting age matters enormously. Younger brains have far higher plasticity. Working memory, processing speed, and personality traits all play significant roles. Even Ericsson pushed back against Gladwell's oversimplification. The 10,000-hour number was never a magic threshold. It was an average. Some reach elite levels in 3,000 hours. Others never get there in 25,000. But here's where neuroplasticity reframes the entire debate. The question was never how many hours. The real question is, what kind of practice rewires the brain most powerfully? Not all practice triggers neuroplasticity equally. Here's what the science tells us. 1. Practice at the edge of your ability. Neuroscientist Michael Merzenich found the brain releases acetylcholine and dopamine only when you're genuinely challenged. Comfortable practice produces almost no structural brain change. Struggle is the signal. 2. Immediate feedback. The brain rewires faster with instant error correction. A great coach doesn't just improve your technique, they're literally accelerating your neuroplasticity. 3. Spaced repetition beats marathon sessions. 1 hour daily for 7 days produces far more myelination than 7 hours in 1 day. Sleep between sessions is when the brain consolidates new pathways, not downtime, but construction time. 4. Mental rehearsal works. Studies show that simply imagining performing a skill activates the same neural circuits as physically doing it. Athletes who visualize their performance show real, measurable brain changes without any physical practice. 5. Emotional engagement accelerates rewiring. When you practice something that genuinely excites or challenges you, your brain releases norepinephrine, a neurochemical that acts like a highlighter, making those pathways stick faster and deeper. So here's the bottom line. The 10,000-hour rule, in its oversimplified form, is incomplete. Raw hours don't rewire your brain. Deliberate, challenging, emotionally engaged practice does. And the most powerful insight from all of this? You don't need 10,000 hours to start seeing real change. Research shows measurable structural brain changes can begin in as little as 8 weeks of consistent, deliberate practice. You are not your current abilities. You are your next 8 weeks of focused effort. Every focused repetition lays down myelin. Every struggle expands your cortical map. Every night of sleep after practice hardwires new neural architecture into your brain. You are literally building a new brain, one deliberate hour at a time. If this gave you value, subscribe for more neuroscience and human performance content. And tell me in the comments, what skill are you currently rewiring your brain to master?